Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2013 horror film Where. This is a film that's written and directed by William Brent Bell, and it stars AJ Cook, Brian Scott O'Connor, Sebastian Roche, Vic Sehay and Simon Quarterman. Now, this is a film that I actually watched a few years ago, enjoyed, and I've just recently picked it back up again. I managed to get it on Blu-ray from Germany because it's not easy to get a hold of in this country, in the UK. And this film focuses on, it's set in France, and it starts off with a family that is brutally slain on a camping trip in the French countryside, and Talon, a guy called Talon, is arrested for this crime, who is this huge guy who seems to have some kind of ailment, or so his solicitor believes, played by AJ Cook. She thinks he might have some kind of physical ailment that would prevent him from committing such a crime, and she's intent on investigating that to the full. However, she's wrong, basically, and it all goes terribly wrong. And then there's a huge hunt takes place to try and track down this killer, who may have a connection to the moon. Right. So, what are my thoughts on Where? Well, it's a really good film. Now, funny story here is I was really keen on rewatching this and reviewing it to add it to my found footage reviews, and with a strong possibility that it would make my next top 10. However, after doing some research, it's not considered a found footage film, certainly by the filmmakers, even though there are aspects of the film that make it feel like a found footage, especially with the camping footage at the beginning and some CCTV footage you see here and there in the film. But when you actually watch this film, it's not found footage. It's not made that way at all. I don't think, even though there are some, like I say, some similarities in the genre. So I'm not classing it as a found footage film. But saying that, it's still a bloody good film. I think what I always look for, certainly in the horror genre, because there's so many tropes and cliches and things that have been done before so many times in the horror genre, that it's hard to be original. And this film brings something new to the table in regards to werewolves, and it does it in a grounded way for the most part. I mean, it does get a little bit unbelievable by the end, but for a large chunk of this film, it really comes across as quite grounded and a really fresh and a new take on the werewolf legend, and it really works. I think you actually feel sympathy for this character, Talon, who they have arrested for this crime, and you think he's just being targeted for the way he looks. And you're really on his side, and his defence team, Kate, Gavin and Eric, are putting a good case together, and you're kind of thinking, well, okay, I'll buy all that. And then when it all goes sideways, you're just kind of like, wow. And then from that point on, it just explodes the film into this full-on, I don't know what the best way, it's like an actual werewolf film, and it's really well done. There's some great effects in the film as well, even though there's not like any what you would consider like huge transformation scenes that you would see in something like An American Werewolf in London. In fact, there's very little of that to speak of in regards to transformation scenes. But what you do set your eyes on in regards to the effects, and you're seeing all these bodies flying about and all that kind of stuff, it just feels really impactful and brutal. The scenes that you get in this thing, and the nice storyline as well with Gavin, who's like the wild animal expert that they bring in because they think a wild animal may have attacked this family at the beginning. So they bring this guy Gavin in, who's an expert, and how his storyline and story arc transforms as the film goes on. I quite enjoyed that as well. I mean, it doesn't really hold water plot wise when you consider it, really. If I don't really want to say because it'll give spoilers away. Even though this film is from 2013, I still don't want to spoil it because it's not a film that a huge amount of people will have probably seen. It's not a widely released film, if you like. But obviously, those in the horror community will know of this film. Quite a lot of them will. But I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, in case you haven't seen it. But there are a couple of plot holes here and there in this film where it's one of those when you finish watching it, you just kind of think, well, oh, hang on a minute, if that happened to him, why didn't it happen to that person? So yeah, there's a couple of dodgy moments in the film, but I think it's a really, really inventive approach to werewolves. It's how you would imagine it playing out, all in the media to some degree. There's heavy media involvement in regards to this film and how the story progresses. Yeah, it was really good. I mean, why Taylor would have agreed to, mind you, there's a test takes place that kind of goes tits up. Why he would probably agree to it when what happens in the film, but maybe he didn't know what it entailed. But surely, if you thought it was potentially going to cause a problem, you would want to know more about this test. That won't mean anything to you if you haven't seen the film. I digress a little bit. Right, so what am I going to give Where? I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a really entertaining, really inventive werewolf film. It's really nicely made. There's some decent effects in it. There's some good performances. They chose well in regards to the cast, and it is definitely one worth checking out if you want to see a werewolf film that is something a little bit different and something I think really quite creative in its approach. So that is my review for Where. Sadly, not a found footage film. I don't believe. I'm sure there was some that will debate that it is, but when I researched into this film, certainly the filmmakers themselves didn't consider this to be a found footage film, so I'm really going off that, and obviously from watching it myself I don't think it is either. So that is my review for Where. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider clicking the like button, and of course I will be back with more reviews on Screen Stars very, very soon.